This photo was taken by a real Mars rover, right on the surface of Mars. And if you look closely at the right side of the frame, you can notice a strange object that suspiciously resembles a dome or part of some kind of structure. But what is it? Is it possible that someone lives there? They still plan to study this area in more detail. And perhaps soon we will find out what is really there. It is exactly such objects that make real photographs of Mars so eerily fascinating. And here is another real photo sent by the rover from the surface of the red planet. Among the many scattered rocks, when you zoom in, outlines suddenly begin to appear that look very much like a face. Moreover, it looks as if these are the remains of a giant statue, half buried under the Martian sand. And here a question arises. Is this just a trick of our imagination, or are there really objects on Mars that look too much like something artificial? In this photo of Mars, attention is drawn to a strange triangular stone. It looks as if someone deliberately placed it here as a marker or a sign. Of course, from a scientific point of view, this is most likely just a coincidence. But you have to admit, it looks very unusual for an ordinary random rock. And this object, captured by a real Mars rover, already resembles not just a stone, but something like an ancient helmet. Moreover, the outlines are so smooth and recognizable that for a moment you forget that what we're looking at isn't a movie prop, but the real surface of Mars. While browsing through thousands of raw photos of Mars that various NASA missions released to the public, we come across another interesting shot. In it, you can notice strange marks that look like the remnants of some kind of inscription, as if there were once symbols or letters here, but time, sandstorms, and erosion have almost completely destroyed them. The funniest thing, the remaining outlines can be read as the word "hi." Coincidence? Or maybe our brain is just trying to find familiar shapes where there really aren't any. Over the past 30 years, humanity has received millions of real photographs of Mars. These images were taken by orbital stations, satellites, and rovers operating right on the surface of the planet. And almost constantly, people find strange objects, mysterious silhouettes, faces, and shapes in these pictures that suspiciously resemble something artificial. In ancient times, people saw this red dot in the sky as the god of war. Later, after the invention of the telescope, it became clear that this was a separate planet. In 1890, astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli drew a map of Mars, on which he marked mysterious lines that looked like canals. Many people at the time decided that these structures were of artificial origin. And the most amazing thing is that just 60 or 70 years ago, humanity had almost no idea what the surface of Mars looked like up close. Today we know more about Mars than we do about some parts of the Earth's ocean floor. Just one modern satellite currently orbiting Mars has already taken millions of real photographs of the planet. Humanity's first mission to Mars ended in disaster. The Soviet interplanetary station was supposed to travel to the Red Planet. However, due to a rocket failure, the spacecraft was destroyed while still in Earth's atmosphere. The next mission also failed, then another one. And only after several attempts in 1965, the Mariner 4 spacecraft was able to approach Mars for the first time and transmit real photographs from a close distance. A total of about 20 images were received, but even these shots became historic. However, for many people, they turned out to be a huge disappointment. Instead of canals, cities, and traces of civilization, humanity saw lifeless deserts, craters, and dead rocky plains. The hope of discovering intelligent life on Mars began to fade rapidly. This continued until 1977, when one photograph changed everything. In 1976, 2 missions were sent to Mars at the same time, Viking 1 and Viking 2. Each spacecraft consisted of an orbiter and a lander, which was supposed to study the surface of the planet directly on Mars. During these missions, tens of thousands of real photographs of the surface of the red planet were taken. Today, such images are quickly analyzed by artificial intelligence. But in the 70s, all of this was done manually. People literally sat with magnifying glasses and spent hours studying photographs in search of safe landing sites for the spacecraft. While examining another photo of Mars, number 36, as 73, one of the staff members noticed a strange object. It was a face. A huge formation several kilometers long really resembled a human face. The eyes were clearly visible in the photograph, the nose and mouth as well. In fact, this was the first time in history that humanity saw something on another planet that looked so much like a human likeness. It's no wonder that this photo instantly appeared in newspapers and caused a real worldwide sensation. But a few days later, NASA held a press conference and announced that there was no face on Mars. According to the official version, it was just a regular optical illusion caused by lighting and shadows. At the same time, agency representatives said that there was already a second photo from that angle, in which supposedly no face could be seen. And it was from that moment that dozens of theories began to emerge. Was it a coincidence? A mistake? Or did someone really not want to fuel interest in this topic? But the story of the face on Mars literally opened Pandora's box for ufologists, researchers, and conspiracy theorists all over the world. People began to study the neighboring objects in the photographs. On Earth, huge statues almost never stand in the middle of nowhere. Usually there are other structures, complexes, and architectural objects nearby. For example, near the Egyptian Sphinx, there are pyramids and remnants of ancient buildings. Stonehenge is also part of a much larger complex. That is why some researchers have started to pay attention to the nearby Martian hills and mountains, considering them possible ruins of an ancient city. Other real photographs of Mars found among the raw satellite images look much more interesting. For example, strange lines and structures that really do resemble the remains of ancient settlements on Earth. But the more people discussed this topic, the more interest grew around the face on Mars. At some point, Errol Torin joined the discussion. He worked in the field of satellite reconnaissance and was involved in image analysis in the defense industry. His job was to search for hidden objects and structures in photographs of potential enemy territories. After studying images of Mars, he publicly stated that some objects really do look unnatural, and this only increased public interest. A few years later, a group of enthusiasts decided to find that very second photograph that NASA had talked about. They began studying archives, catalogs, and old mission data. But the photo that was supposedly meant to disprove the existence of the face, they never found. But they did find another shot, and it was this photograph that made an even bigger impression. In the new photo, the face on Mars was even clearer. Here, you could already make out the shape of the nose, eye sockets, and mouth. After this photo was published, there was a real media frenzy around the topic. Image processing specialists began applying various methods to the photos to improve their quality. People published the results, compared versions of the images, and tried to figure out what exactly is actually on the surface of Mars. That's when the famous journalist Richard Hoagland became interested in this story. Hoagland organized a meeting with NASA representatives and showed them the results of an independent analysis of the photograph. After that, he demanded that new pictures of the mysterious area be taken. But the scientists continued to stand by their position. It's just a play of light and shadow. Taking new photographs makes no sense. However, Hoagland did not stop. For many years, he continued to fuel interest in this topic through books, interviews, and television programs. 2 decades later, this finally produced results. In 1993, NASA once again sent a spacecraft to Mars. Initially, they didn't even plan to equip it with a powerful camera. The main goal of the mission was to collect scientific data. But when Hoagland found out about this, he rallied his audience. Many people started sending letters en masse, calling and demanding that a modern camera be installed to photograph the surface of Mars. In the end, NASA eventually agreed. However, something unexpected happened. The spacecraft, known as the Mars Observer, lost contact just 3 days before approaching the planet. Contact was lost, and this only fueled the public's interest even more. Especially after it turned out that shortly before the disaster, NASA organized a televised debate with Hoagland about the face on Mars. After these events, the topic finally turned into a worldwide sensation. The next major mission took place only in 1997. The Mars Glober CWR spacecraft was sent to Mars. Initially, NASA did not intend to photograph the face, but public pressure turned out to be too strong. Under the pressure of thousands of requests, the agency still sent the spacecraft to the right area. In 1999, the world was finally shown new real images of this area of Mars. However, many people found the quality of the photographs suspiciously low. Because of this, new accusations emerged that the images had been heavily processed before publication. By the way, that's exactly why many people still ask the question, why is the sky blue in some photos of Mars, while in others it's red or yellow? Actually, it all depends on the processing. Raw photos taken by the Mars rover look completely different. Then specialists apply filters and calibration to make the image closer to how the human eye would see the surface of Mars in reality. For example, one version shows the true color of the Martian surface, while another shows how Mars would look under Earth's lighting. The same applies to satellite images. Initially, many of them are actually taken in black and white, and color is added later using special algorithms. Here's how, for example, the famous face on Mars looks in a real unprocessed satellite image taken in 2011. And here's how this area looks after processing. Over time, after new photos and research appeared, most scientists eventually concluded that the face on Mars is just an optical illusion. The face becomes noticeable only under certain lighting conditions. This effect is called Pareidolia. Our brain is specifically designed to instantly recognize faces and familiar shapes. That's why new real photos of Mars appear on the internet almost every day, and people once again find faces, statues, and mysterious objects in them. This rock, for example, looks like a human head sticking out of the sand. And this object looks like part of an ancient Egyptian statue. And here's another photo from the surface of Mars, sent by the rover. And again, a shape that looks like a head. And this rock actually resembles a fossilized creature, or the head of a giant lizard half buried under the sand. There are a great many photos like these. And yet, some shots really make you think. For example, the famous photo of the door on Mars, taken in 2023, caused a huge stir all over the world. Many were convinced that this was the entrance to an underground structure. But if you carefully zoom in on the original photo, it becomes clear this is just an ordinary crack in the rock formed after a landslide or a Marsquake. Although, of course, it all looks incredible. Did you like the video? Tell us what you thought about it. And if you want more, give it a like. The more likes we get, the sooner a new super engaging video will be out.